girls, my daughters, didn't know anything about this. And 10 days of her sleeping better at night, and I was sleeping with her, and she wasn't stopping breathing then. They go, boy, Nana's memory is getting so much better. And one of the neurologists explained it to me. He said, your memory's stored in the front part of your brain. And when it's not oxygenated properly at night, it shrinks like a sponge out of water. You know, a sponge gets smaller and smaller. He said, when it's oxygenated correctly, new pathways are formed, and it's like a sponge in water. So it's fascinating. Like, for instance, this is what really gets me. I'm a mom, 2 daughters. We paid for private school. We paid for tutors. My youngest daughter had asthma and allergies so bad, a lot of breathing issues. If I had known then what I know now, we probably would have had her tonsils taken out. We had a little boy that came into our office last May, a year ago May, and you know, this really got me. He wouldn't look me in the eye. He was real tiny, and I'm glancing at him thinking, oh, he's about 6 years old. I'm thinking he's just shy. His dad goes, no, he's 9. I'm thinking he's 9. And he goes, yeah. And the dad says he flunked 2nd grade. He told me he snored at night, and he had social problems. And I'm thinking, social problems at 9? He said, well, he gets in a fight all the time. They were picking on him because he was so tiny. And so my doctor took a look at him and said, well, we recommended he get his tonsils out. Well, insurance companies now have certain guidelines for tonsillectomies. You know, it's not, they don't take tonsils out like they did 40 years ago. So they went to the pediatrician, and it's just like you ask 5 different people in the music business, you're going to get 5 different opinions. You ask 5 different doctors, you're going to get 5 different opinions. She disagreed with us. So we went back and forth. He ended up going to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. And that guy said immediately, get the tonsils out as fast as you can. So they took him out the end of May. And the dad, you know, we're visiting with him. In 3 weeks, the little boy had stopped snoring. Dad thought that was great. And he said, man, he is just acting so much better. Well, anybody that has kids knows if they're tired, they misbehave more. If they're well rested, they listen to you better. They usually behave better. So they decided, this is a little boy that's flunked 2nd grade. He grew almost 2.5 inches over last summer. Now that makes a change in his life. So they tried him out in 3rd grade. This little boy who flunked the year before now made 98 on the national math test for 3rd graders this past year. He's a different kid. Now you think about turning somebody's life around in 2nd grade. If they get passed all the way through to high school, that doesn't get caught, you know, you can't really turn around a 12th grader. You know, a 2nd grader will listen to you because mom's bigger than he is. A 12th grader may not. And this has become real passionate to us. You know, we've been involved in a prison ministry, and you think of the guys that get passed on and get into more and more trouble because they don't feel good, they can't breathe well. When you don't breathe well, you don't act well. It's made a huge difference. So Derek, needless to say, when I go places, you know, it's one thing. But I walk in with Derek, and it's like flies to honey. He's got his big old Super Bowl ring on. He's got an amazing way to communicate with folks. And he starts telling them his story about his brother and about what a difference it's made in his life. He works in a school. He's a high school counselor now. And he has said to many people, if he had had this appliance to wear during the day, and I've got another one here, a different one that he wears at night to open his airway. He said he thinks he could have played 4 or 5 more years in the NFL. Well, that would have made a difference for him. And then, I don't know if you guys followed Jamarcus Russell. One of the reasons he got let go was sleep apnea. He couldn't get it under control. They said he was listless in practice. And when you're playing at that high level of a game, there's always somebody ready to take your place. You know, you've got to be on your game in everything you do. You want to be learning and sharper. And I was impressed with you guys talking about reading books on the business. I mean, you know, if you let life just happen to you, so many things pass you by, you know.
Is that why Jamarcus was so big? Because he couldn't breathe?
You know, I don't know, but I mean, it was.
You laughing, but you might be right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jamarcus was big. He had a weight problem.
Well, what happens is when you don't sleep well, like, oh, this is so interesting. Mayo Clinic, the famous Mayo Hospital, did a study and said that if someone snores, like if your baby's having breathing problems, you put them in your bed, they're kind of snoring, the person sleeping with that snorer wakes up about 20 times an hour. So there's a sleep cycle. There's like 3 or 4 different sleep cycles, and you have to go through them in a series. Like my husband honestly snored like a freight train. And I told them, you know, I said, it didn't bother me, I was used to sleeping. I knew I was tired all the time, but I thought it was because I was getting older. And so they said, okay,